We're all familiar with the three whats: what it is, what it can do for me, and what does it cost. Tyler Rickenaugh, Country Financial, can help you find the answers with insurance coverage to help protect what's most important to you, all at a price you can afford. So while you're juggling work and kids while trying to keep an eye on your financial future, Tyler Rickenaugh, Country Financial, will make sure they are the first ones there when you need them most.
The kids are back to school, and your schedule is busier than ever. From daycare pickup, doctor's appointments, sports, and college tuition, a parent's signature is a powerful thing. Have you ever stopped to think, what would happen if you weren't able to provide one? With thoughtful estate planning, you can make sure that your child's health and education needs are met in the event of your absence due to a temporary incapacity or even death. The estate planning team at Hurley Burrish is here to help.
Fostering deeper relationships, influencing behavior change, developing resilience. You're about to start winning. Here is your host, Christine Bright.
Welcome to Parenting Game. I am so glad you are here. My guest is Renee Moe from United Way, Dane County. As parents, we can really have a battle against what our kids are seeing on social media. They are constantly seeing these perfect lives. So, how do you win? Introducing your kids to acts of generosity allow them to see life that's bigger than what's on social media. Renee is going to share with us some great ways your families can get involved and start having acts of generosity be the rhythm of your home. Renee, thank you so much for being here. It was fun for us to kind of try to piece together when we first met, which was over 10 years ago.
At least over a decade ago. Unbelievable.
I know.
Unbelievable.
And you know, your path with United Way has this really, I mean, you've been there 25 years.
That's right.
And you've just really worked your way up through, I say the system, through the company.
Yeah, through every position. Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, I would like for you to share what are some ways your family has, been involved in acts of generosity.
Yeah, you bet. And thanks so much for having me on. This is really
welcome.
Great. Well, my family is now myself, my husband, and 2 middle school kids, which I know, I can't believe it. We met before they were even born, I think. And, all throughout their lives, we've talked a lot about giving back in community. And as soon as they were able to volunteer, they would go along with us to painting houses, or to go along on home chore visits, things like that. We've always talked about financial management. We talk about giving, spending, investing, saving, but giving is also a part of that. And we make it a point to volunteer together as much as we can. So United Way has a lot of events, family-friendly events. Most recently, they were at the Mallard Stadium with the United Way event for our campaign kickoff, and they were helping to assemble paper packets. We know that nonprofits know that a lot of times families can't afford toilet paper or paper towels or napkins, and they're not covered by Food Share. And it's one of those things that is, it really impacts the budget. And so if we can help people learn about people's financial stresses while helping, it's a great win-win-win for everybody. So my kids love to be a part of that.
Yeah, and isn't it just a great way to bond as a family and give them this broader view that,
Absolutely.
There are people that are struggling and, to be a little bit more grateful for what you have, and then how they, can share their thankfulness for what they have with others. It's such a powerful thing. I cannot, that's why I do this series every year. Because it is such a great way for families to bond and just get a broader view and be thankful for what they have.
Absolutely.
So your path has been really interesting. So I just wanted to share that. So I noticed you started at UW-Madison, journalism and Mandarin Chinese.
That's right.
And then you went to Harvard, and this is like a long study, performance measurement for effective management of nonprofits. big title. So my question to you was, nonprofit work, was that always your plan, or did that switch somewhere along the line?
Yeah, my plan really was journalism. So growing up, I'm in a military family, so I moved around the world a lot with my dad's service in the Air Force. Both of my parents were very service-oriented, obviously military service, but also volunteerism in our family as well. And I really thought I wanted to grow up and tell stories about things that were going on around the world. But as I got into reporting in college mostly, I actually realized I liked getting involved with the problems and wanted to find more solutions. So it was really difficult because you were trying to keep that distance away from reporting the facts to actually rolling up your sleeves and getting involved and trying to make things better. And that was really where I found my heart for United Way. I did a school project through the journalism school where we evaluated the state and university employee giving campaign. And through that, met the marketing director at United Way, and she recruited me in for an internship, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So 25 years?
About,
am
yeah.
I correct on that? So just share with us your path. Where you started as an intern, and then how it went from there.
So as a marketing intern, I really got exposed to so many volunteers at United Way. We launched the Business Volunteer Network, for example, and I was doing a lot of work with the Speakers Bureau where I got to meet every nonprofit agency that we partnered with, hundreds of them. And then from marketing, I was recruited into a resource development position. So I started off back at that campaign where I'd first evaluated that marketing project with the university, with the state employees, also with UW Health. I also worked with the insurance and finance division and retail and service division, so I got to meet a wide cross-section of businesses across the community and employees who work there. Then was recruited into the campaign director role that was in charge of the whole United Way giving campaign. I was about 24 when that happened, and I really, it was about a $12 million campaign at that time, and I was sort of wondering, why are they putting me in charge of this? But it worked, right? There are a lot of helpers to make that successful. Shortly thereafter, our VP of Resource Development was recruited to a different role, and they did a big nationwide search, and I was really honored that the search committee chose me for that role as the vice president. I did that for about 10 years, which was a great way to learn the organization. Had a couple of stretch projects in our community impact area, working with Summer Slide for students across Dane County, making sure that they continued with literacy efforts, as well as some early childhood experiences. And then just about 5-6 years ago, we had another big national search when Leslie Ann Howard, my predecessor, retired. And again, what an honor to be able to step into that role and lead United Way of Dane County for our community.
Yeah, there's so many, we're going to get into that, so much that United Way does. But I do think, some people just, have some questions of, we know that we give to United Way, but that isn't the only way that United Way is funded. So, how does United Way get their dollars to help?
Yeah, so there are a lot of ways. So most of the donations come from local businesses. So they give a corporate gift and they invite their employees to give a payroll deduction gift, and many of them step into leadership giving. So the bulk of our campaign comes from private individuals and organizations across Dane County, which is so powerful. That's why we really love to think of the power of many working for all across United Way. And we also do some grant writing. So through a really generous investment from a board member, Lau and B. Christensen, they allowed us to hire a couple of folks to get started with grant writing. Our programs were so effective, particularly in education and housing. They were wondering why we weren't able to get larger amounts of money to help expand the results in our community. So with that, we started building into a whole grants writing capacity. We call that strategic collaborations. They work with nonprofit partners, with families, and they really design programs that try to help us advance the mission. So a little bit from grants. And we also have a newer area of United Way, which is all direct response. So people can go to the website and give. We do mailings. So there are a lot of folks who aren't in workplaces that run a campaign, or maybe they work from home, or maybe they work out of the community, but they live here in Dane County. So it's a whole new way the workforce has changed. And so we try to meet them either at events where they're attending, or on their phones, or at home. So that's really the way United Way is funded.
So the money that comes into United Way Dane County, does that all stay in Dane County?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So that's
We're
always an
hyper-local.
important factor.
Yeah.
Is if I'm giving, is it helping the community where I live? So that's really important to know.
Hyper local. So there is a United Way Worldwide Trade Organization. They do things like brand or the NFL partnership that you see. But yes, it all stays right here in Dane County.
That's lovely. So there's so many programs under the United Way umbrella. I was involved with Schools of Hope in doing the tutoring. I absolutely loved it. There you see AmeriCorps, and then all the other opportunities. You got like this youth. We're going to dig into that. That's kind of youth-led organizations. So are these all like United Way programs, or are they programs that are funded by United Way? How does that work?
Yeah, that's an awesome question because it is a little complicated. Let me say first, thank you for being a Schools of Hope tutor.
You're welcome.
I hope more people become Schools of Hope tutors, and I know that you followed your student all the way through graduation.
Yeah,
Powerful.
You do connect, are able to connect with the family if they're willing, and his mom was very kind and would let me come and see him up at high school. So we started when he was at Shank Elementary.
Yeah.
And then I followed him to Whitehorse through Schools of Hope.
Awesome.
And then, of course, in high school, that program isn't, in the high school, but I would just call the school and they get permission from his mom. So it was very satisfying and fun just to see him, continue to grow and do well. So.
Satisfying, fun, and important and effective. So thank you so much for that. I hope that inspires more people to get involved.
And it's not a lot of time. It wasn't. You can make it more if you want.
Yes.
But it's a minimum of 1 hour a week.
That's right.
And he really looked forward to it, and we'd have some fun. But of course, then we were also focused on studies and where he was, being challenged at school, and I'd work with him through that. Just now, you got me talking.
Yeah,
about
I love
it.
it.
I just got to share one story.
It.
He was so funny because one day he goes, "I want to meet the person who's the boss of you." And I'm going, okay. And so my boss at the time when I was working at Frank Distributing came in. And he's a tall guy, too. And I said, so here is the person who's the boss of me. And then he looks at him. You get to tell her what to do? And he's like, yes, I do. And then at the end of it, he just looks at me and goes, one day I want to be the boss of you.
Oh, that's so funny.
It was so cute.
Funny.
But so there's just a lot of ways that you can,
get involved.
Impact those kids.
Well, that ties directly back to your opening. Really, how do you help kids see lives beyond their own? How do you help people have dreams bigger than their windows, right? And that's what, you were able to do in collaboration with his mom and his teachers and his own sense of goals and being CEO. Yeah. That's really what we do in all of our programming. A lot of times people think, well, I'm giving to charity and it's helping people. And some people feel like, you're creating dependency, or people don't have self-sufficiency. And really that's not at all. We're talking about empowerment. And all the programs that we have together, we do some direct funding of nonprofits if that's what donors want. They can say, I want to designate to this agency that's very important to me, and we honor that and we transfer that very efficiently and effectively. It's very efficient for the nonprofit to have United Way help with that. We also have a number of programs that we coordinate together. In United Way, we see ourselves as a change catalyst. We really fill in all those great people doing amazing things across the community and try to hold that big picture. So let's take Schools of Hope, for example, because we were just talking about that so beautifully. So we know that there are kids who aren't reading in proficiency, and we know that we want every baby to graduate from high school, right? There's nobody in our community who doesn't want that. But there are a lot of reasons why kids may not get there. Maybe housing instability, maybe experiences of systemic racism, it may be income challenges, it may be parental stress. We were talking earlier about addiction. There are a lot of reasons why there might be barriers, and what we're trying to do is bring adult energy, community energy into the schools, and that's the mobilizing power part and the lasting generational change part. So we think about our work through education, financial stability, that includes housing as well as health, and we want to coordinate the nonprofit ecosystem to work more effectively for families, centering families. So there are a lot of nonprofits who receive funds through United Way's volunteer investment process, and their programs are knit together in a coordinated way to make a better experience for the family, and so that we can measure accountability for change. So we do fund direct programs at agencies aligned to a larger community infrastructure, strategic architecture, really co-created by the community. One thing people don't really get about my job is that United Way is volunteer-led. So I support a board of directors. We have almost 60 committees supporting each of the areas of the organization, and those are all community members who care deeply about wanting Dane County to be an even better, stronger place. And so whether it's education, making sure babies are ready for school, getting them through literacy, self-confidence and goals, and graduation, math and science is so important. whether it's in income, job training, helping to get people with family sustaining wages, food access, housing access. We're actually starting now to invest in affordable workforce housing through our Affordable Housing Fund. Our health, right? Access to mental health care, access to insurance if you can't pay for that. Great partnership with UW Health and Courts. And all of those programs are really powerful. They have a lot of nonprofit involvement, and it is the coordination of centering the family to get to self-sufficiency, get to well-being, that is our goal, that is our aim.
And, and I love that because, we don't often think, well, I mean, we know it in ourselves. When we're going through a change or like a loss of job and things aren't stable, we don't think well. We don't learn well. We don't make the best decisions. And what I love about United Way is when you're looking at the whole family, because, I can come in and help that kiddo, and for that hour we may have some success. But if he's continually going back to hunger, unsafe home, you're not going to have that long lasting. I really value what you guys do of we need to have that stable platform so that child can grow and think and not, because it's a big shift. It's like, ooh, I'm in school and I'm with the tutor and everything's good, and now I go back home and just so many things are uncertain. Am I going to eat tonight? Where are we going to sleep tonight? And it's important to have that whole family approach.
Absolutely.
And it takes a lot.
It does take a lot.
And that's what I love about United Way, because as an individual person, I can't take on supporting a whole family, but supporting United Way is a way for you to, put some dollars behind this way of supporting a whole family that you can't do on your own.
Absolutely.
So it's a great, I love
It's a
United
great partnership.
Way.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm getting a little gushy here.
Oh, well, it is, again, I feel like this really is built by the community, and, our nonprofits are so great. We've got so many amazing nonprofits, and they will say too, we are expert in childcare, or we are expert in case management for housing stability, or we are expert in this area of job training for this industry. But they can't do everything, and they're very good at collaborating, and what we're trying to do is really help that be even more knit together in a way that there's no wrong door for families, because we know what it takes to get from crisis to stability, and we can get there when we do that together.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's dig into ways families can get involved and kids can get involved. Because typically as parents, we know all the ways that we can get involved, but sometimes we don't take that extra step to see how we can volunteer as a family, or how our kids can even take this initiative on their own.
Absolutely.
So I want to start with the By Youth for Youth program.
Yeah, I love this
really
program.
caught my attention, so I'm excited to learn more
Sure,
about it.
I love this program. So By Youth for Youth is indeed a program that is run by youth for youth. It's open to any high school student across Dane County. You could be homeschooled, you could be in any district across Dane County. And what they do is they get together and they talk about what are the priorities they want to address in the community. So these youth co-create, these are our passions. This is the need that we see through our friends in school. These are the world issues that are on our minds and in our hearts. And they co-create some strategic priorities. Then they learn how to develop an RFP, a request for proposal, and they go through a marketing campaign. We help them hook into local media to help propose messaging to help more kids learn about the proposal. Dollars are granted from United Way, the city, the county, extension, some others. And so they have a pool of real dollars to be able to invest. So once the proposals are out, youth across Dane County are invited to pitch a project, and it might be something like, support in schools or support out of schools, after school programs, anything that helps families. So the kids get to choose aligned with the By Youth for Youth Committee's priorities. And then the By Youth for Youth kids actually go through, they read all the proposals, and they get to decide which ones receive funding, and they get to make the award presentations to the volunteer projects or the other projects that local youth have designed. It's really, really powerful, and you have literally 100 or so high school students across all these different projects doing really good works right in their own communities, right in their neighborhoods, right in their schools. It's so powerful. And we get together for big celebrations so everyone can meet each other. And then we find out what the projects are and what difference they make. It's pretty cool.
And talk about getting that tunnel vision of what they see on social media, and everybody's life is better than mine and everything is so great.
Yeah.
And getting them to experience, and I say worldview, but it is.
It is.
Within their community and be that invested.
Yes.
That's what I like about it, is these steps, they're invested by the time that process
They're
is done.
so invested, and their leadership skills just blossom because you come in, you kind of don't know what this is, you're a little nervous, you don't know these kids from other school districts, and by the end you've got a point of view and you've actually had some agency to make a decision that changes something in the community. So you're absolutely right. One other cool thing, back to your student who wanted to be a boss, our By Youth for Youth committee chair usually is our board youth representative at United Way, so they get to be my boss.
Oh,
Isn't that cool?
Oh my gosh.
So we have 2 youth representatives on right now.
What an
Yeah,
opportunity.
it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity.
I can probably see some kids watching this going, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what I want to do. Can you share with us like one project that came out of that?
Yeah. So last year, I believe it was at East High School, they wanted to have some restorative justice muscles flexed in the schools. There were a lot of fights and things going on, and people really felt like if there were more facilitated ways to have conversations and to restore healing and to kind of have a platform for people to understand the impact of the violence on other students and to have people have the chance to really express through the work. That was one of the projects that I thought was pretty timely, poignant, and powerful. The school district has support. They work with nonprofits who are doing some of that work, but it was really important to the students themselves to help facilitate that. So we made sure that was in conjunction with the other processes. But it was just a way for the students to feel like they could take back school, really emphasize how important safety is, how important community is. So that's just one example that really stuck out to me last year.
Yeah. And did you find that it had, and I don't want to say more success, but was received better because it was peer-driven than adult-driven?
So I can't necessarily say I've seen analysis for all the other programs too, but I know there was a ton of ownership and investment. And yes, we know this from from just common sense, but also through evidence that when you do have that buy-in, when you do have that leadership, when people have co-created that themselves, it's stickier, right? It lasts longer. The effects are there. So that is a powerful aha to take away for all of us to really center the voices of those who are most affected and allow them the chance to grow in their own leadership and experience. So yeah, I absolutely agree that that's what happened.
Yeah, and I think it's good for parents to hear too, because sometimes, we get a little laser focused on our kid and see all the stuff that isn't happening at home. They're not cleaning their room, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, and may not give them the credit that there is a lot of leadership skill, there's a lot critical thinking going on and concern more than we realize.
Yeah.
So this is a really good program for them to get that out, and I'm sure the parents were just like amazed and busting with pride.
It's true. Whoa. It's true. Yeah. So many of the parents and caregivers were, just in awe, right? I mean, you're going to committee meetings and you're leading agendas and you're co-creating agendas. And so many of the kids said it was one of the best experiences because they really felt like, they were autonomous and it wasn't somebody telling them what to do. They got to make those decisions. And that also, levels up your confidence and that next level of taking on all of those great assets that you just mentioned. So yeah, it's really powerful. The parents were so proud. Teachers are super proud. Guidance counselors, everybody around them.
And just another point too, looks great on a college application.
Absolutely.
Any type of volunteering you do.
That's true.
Okay, we're running out of time.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Darn it.
Goodness gracious.
So real quick, how can families get involved together?
So coming up is our holiday wish list, and so we'll co-create a whole bunch of opportunities for families to get together. You can help support different nonprofits who are working on holiday needs. Also, any time of the year, you can go to volunteeryourtime.org. That is a place where nonprofits are all invited to curate their volunteer projects. You can sort by age. I know when my son was really little, he wanted to do a highway cleanup, which was inappropriate. So my husband did that with without him, and we were able to find painting, for example, or food sorting at a pantry. So some places do have age restrictions about 7 years old, or maybe even 13, 14. So you can take a look at those. But there are lots of things you can do together at any age, and volunteer your time or the holiday wish list are the best ways to find those.
Yeah, and then and this is something I didn't think about. So we all see the buckets for Toys for Tots, but volunteers are needed to box them and get them where they need to go. So that's another opportunity for families. And how you guys support, another nonprofit.
That's right.
Like, it has to get there.
It has to get there.
Who's going to do that work?
Absolutely. We need hundreds of volunteers for a lot of these holiday mobilizations, and Toys for Tots, which is really anchored out of the Alliant Energy Center with the U.S. Marines Partnership. And that goes out to faith communities, nonprofits, organizations all across Dane County who are really supporting families who may not have enough income to afford holiday gifts for their kids, especially teens. I'll say that, kids who are preteen and teen, hardest to get gifts for those kids. It's very fun to buy the toys and the books for the littles, but those volunteers also help get the word out about that too.
Oh, that is great. So
Yeah.
they're, going, through United Way, families, there's really no excuse not to make generosity a rhythm of your family. And you can get yourself involved, you can get kids involved, and you can really look for where your skill set is. If for me, tutoring was a natural fit. If you're more on the creative side, as you said, there's opportunities to help with painting projects. If you like to clean and organize, you guys do the home chores is just a great way.
Meals on Wheels, you could even knit blankets, there are all sorts of things. So I agree with you. I think that fostering generosity and having your kids see you volunteer, I know we're all so busy, but it's one of those things where they're paying attention, they learn, and that becomes a part of their identity, a part of civic engagement, and that creates stronger leaders for the future.
Yeah, and again, just another great way for them to see another world besides what they're seeing on social media. So share the website, please.
Yes, UnitedWayDaneCounty.org.
All right. Well, you have no excuse now. There are several different ways that you can get involved in acts of generosity. Thank you for tuning in to The Parenting Game.
We're all familiar with the 3 whats: what it is, what it can do for me, and what does it cost. Tyler Rickenaut, Country Financial, can help you find the answers with insurance coverage to help protect what's most important to you, all at a price you can afford. So while you're juggling work and kids while trying to keep an eye on your financial future, Tyler Rickenaut, Country Financial, will make sure they are the first ones there when you need them most.
The kids are back to school, and your schedule is busier than ever. From daycare pickup, doctor's appointments, sports, and college tuition, a parent's signature is a powerful thing. Have you ever stopped to think, what would happen if you weren't able to provide one? With thoughtful estate planning, you can make sure that your child's health and education needs are met in the event of your absence due to a temporary incapacity or even death. The estate planning team at Hurley Burrish is here to help.
Thank you for watching The Parenting Game. All episodes of The Parenting Game are available on demand at sunprairiemediacenter.com.